Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Back with Levi Chatinover here for another week of NFL talking player stuff here. I'm gonna be totally honest. Levi was my fantasy guy. He's still kind of my fantasy football guy, but we got outed big time, and he's by some people that are in his leagues, to the point where he didn't necessarily feel comfortable providing the same level of insight as to what he was going to be doing specifically with fantasy moves pending moving forward. So as a result, we're not necessarily talking about specific pickups, stardom, sit-em, but there's still plenty of football to talk about, and I'm going to use Levi's knowledge here to continue to bring you guys NFL player props as well. So you're cool with that, Levi?
I'm good with it.
All right, cool. Yeah. So shout out Jacob Donnelly. You're a dick. You totally scored about
Jake.
What are you gonna do? It's hey, if you're not trying, cheating, you're not trying. You know, that kind of thing. So shout out Donnelly. We're going to be talking about NFL Week 5 here. I'm going to be pressing him for some player stuff so I can turn that into player prop money that I'm going to make, as we did with Sam Laporta last week. He's not available in fantasy football leagues, but he's available to bet on when he has 40.5 receiving yard props that are set for him. So I'm going to continue to do that with him. I'm just going to kick things off with the best QB performance in Week 5, and I'll be doing the same for running back and wide receiver. But let's talk about a guy who you are looking forward to probably having either the best week for a quarterback or at least, top 3, let's say.
Yeah, it's kind of chalk, but Mahomes at Minnesota seems as can't miss as you get. I mean, I wanted, when I looked at the matchup, my first inclination was Jacksonville has forgotten how to play football, so Josh Allen for $1 million. But they're in London, and those games get fucking wonky, and I don't want to stamp it only because those games, they just get so fucking wonky.
Yeah.
In
front of the home Jacksonville crowd of London.
Yeah, the future London Jaguars.
Right.
But I mean, look, Minnesota hasn't really been able to defend, anything. I mean, I don't even really think they're a good run defense. Just no one even bothers running on them because they're just like, oh, you get 12 yards every time we throw? All right, fuck it. Let's just do that then. Yeah. So I see really, honestly, no reason why that wouldn't persist. I mean, I don't know which wide receiver to tell you to bet on because they have 8 of them and they each get 3 targets a game. Kelsey's pretty much unguardable by good defenses. So, yeah, I mean, I like Mahomes in this one. If you want something that maybe there would be better odds on as the number 1 overall, I'm all in on Anthony Richardson, which I think I've said almost every time we've talked.
Yep.
But I am not 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain on a per snap basis, he has the most fantasy points per snap of any quarterback so far this year. Tennessee is a terrible pass defense, which gives me concerns about what I just witnessed with Cincinnati this past weekend. But that being said, they're not it. Tennessee's not it, and Anthony Richardson fucking slinging it. So
he is it. 200 yards on 11 completions last week for Anthony Richardson. The two passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown with 56 yards rushing. He is the real deal. If you're a fantasy quarterback, if you're just looking for a guy who's going to be exciting on a week-to-week basis, you want to watch Anthony Richardson. And were it not for C.J. Stroud, probably would be a somewhat more of a runaway race in Anthony Richardson's favor, although Bijan clearly went off despite his team sucking so bad. So what do you do with that?
So real-world quarterback, C.J. Stroud is as game-ready of a rookie quarterback as I can ever really remember seeing. And I know the league's different. I know it's easier to throw now, but he's got Nico Collins and Tank Dell, who I've been on the record. I like both those guys, but neither of them are Justin Jefferson. You know what I mean? They're good players, but these guys aren't first-team All-Pros. The line's been banged to shit, and the kid just hangs in there and fucking rips it.
Yeah.
It's impressive. How dumb does Carolina feel right now?
Yeah. They have to. You have to. It's not like this was a draft where there were no quarterbacks, so it's you're damned if you do.
I really enjoyed Carolina coming out and being like, well, what we really need is a true alpha 1 wide receiver. I'm like, you fucking morons. Yeah. You literally had one.
Yep.
You actually had one.
Yep.
And you were just like, nah, fuck it. We're done with this guy.
Yep, 100%. And now what they're looking at is Adam Thielen still being a reasonably good wide receiver if he has a quarterback who can throw him the ball. I mean, well, let me put
Yeah.
it this way. He also got the benefit of playing against that Vikings defense last week. But
It's a revenge game. Like, and that's a revenge game. Guys usually show up for those. Like, here's what I'm gonna say though. When Andy Dalton is showing you up, you are fucking struggling at the quarterback position,
precisely
man.
the red rifle, man. So I guess like you would throw 1A in there as Mahomes for quarterback of the week.
So
1B even.
yeah, like if you're placing a bet on who's gonna have the most fantasy points, right? Like,
but you can.
You're not. I don't know that you're going to get good odds on it, but you know what I mean. I would say Mahomes based on the matchup. If you're looking for something you can try to actually make some money on, I would probably take a shot on Anthony Richardson.
Yep. No, I like that, and you can do that kind of stuff on Prize Picks, by the way, and other types of apps like that, like Sleeper Picks and the like. You can go ahead and select fantasy points scored as a prop and bet over under or head to head on guys and things like that. So it gets pretty wild out there.
Be mindful of the scoring though. Like if it's a 4-point scoring for the QB, Anthony Richardson, if you're still getting comparable odds, is an even better bet. You know what I mean, with the rushing yards and the rushing touchdown upside.
Totally. Yeah, he's looking like a great pick for that standpoint. Is there a third one you want to throw in there as possible for this week, or you feel like those two guys?
I mean, listen, if I'm gonna throw a third one in there, I guess I would probably throw Josh Allen in there. I mean, I don't love the London nature of that game, but they have won their last 3 games by a combined 90 points. They're literally they were so angry that they lost to Zach Wilson. They were like, never again, fuck this shit. And they've just been they have been beating the brakes off of the teams they have played. It hasn't been particularly close. No. They're not even running the score up on purpose other than in the Miami game. I mean,
but they're getting timely turnovers. And granted, look, you're talking about Garoppolo, Howell, and then Tua. So what they did against Miami was the impressive part of all this, but I do agree entirely. I've been just blaring the horn for the Bills since week 1. I was like, this was the fluke game of week 1. Everyone wants to talk about, well, it's week 1. We're going to look back and say one of these things was weird. It's going to be that. It was always going to be that the Jets beat the Bills after Aaron Rodgers went out, which was a rah-rah cheering situation around the quarterback coming down and everybody playing better.
As a Jet fan, I do have to bring up, they also beat the Bills last year with Zach Wilson as the starting quarterback. The Jets seem to have... All right, look. The Jets also made Mahomes look like a fucking bitch. And I think we all know that there were... Worst case, those are 2 of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. And very arguably, you can call them 1-2 if you really want to, right? Yeah. Pretty easily. Both those quarterbacks struggle with defenses like the kind of defense the Jets play, which is a ton of pressure. They do a lot of creative stuff on the defensive line to create that pressure and confuse the offensive line and the blocking schemes.
Yeah.
And then they also make you throw into tight windows if you want to throw the ball down the field.
Sure.
Right? And
Mahomes and Allen want to.
And they both those guys get bored.
Yeah.
And they both admit it. They get bored if you make them take 7 yards every pass attempt.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because listen, their arms are Ferraris. And if you put a Ferrari on a road with 600 stop signs, you're going to lose your fucking mind sooner or later and just be like, fuck it, I'm blowing this last one. And then you get picked off and it's not good.
The first quarterback I started thinking about is Matt Stafford too. Like he would not have success against this team if that's going to be the case. Betty Staff, but I still believe in that Rams' ability to move the ball down the field. By the way, which is a topic for another day because I want to move on to running backs. We've got for quarterbacks to summarize. We've got Patty Mahomes 1A. We've got Anthony Richardson a little bit behind him as the second projected quarterback in terms of fantasy points and, some bets that I'm going to be making this week on quarterbacks. And then third up, we definitely have Josh Allen, which I would agree. Like the Jags defense looked stellar against a team that can't throw the ball because Desmond Ridder's their quarterback. The Jags were a good run defense. They are a good run defense, not as good against the pass. It's just Desmond Ridder can't pass, so you don't have to double anybody. So,
Yeah.
running back. What do we got?
So
what do we got
number one this week, Bijan. Like Bijan in a good matchup against the Texans. And the Texans have been they've been a good football team so far.
Not against
but they are giving up points to running backs.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And Tyler Algier is not a thing anymore. I mean it's it. Bijan's getting the work.
Is he getting the goal line carries now? I mean, they didn't really have any goal line carries in this last game, but so we don't know. They can't move the ball inside the red zone, Levy. What are they supposed to do?
Give the ball to Bijan. And the thing is, listen, if you're not going to use the wide receivers you spent premium draft capital on, just give it to the fucking running back you spent premium draft capital on. Yeah. As we just said, Desmond Ridder is out there every week doing his best impression of an NFL quarterback. It's not a good impression. It's not really a believable impression. Yeah. Really looking every bit of the third-round draft pick that he was. Yeah. He's not fucking good. He wasn't even that good in college. You know who's really good? Bijan Robinson is really, really good. If Christian McCaffrey didn't exist, I would say Bijan Robinson is the best running back in football.
Wow.
He might be a better pure runner than anyone. Like, Nick Chubb's hurt, so Nick Chubb's on the shelf. He might be a better pure back in terms of running the football than McCaffrey, but McCaffrey's just got extra gears and extra levels, and he's on a team that has the best left tackle in the league. So I realize what McCaffrey did this past week, and honestly could have had another touchdown, really. Honestly, if they didn't try to get Juszczyk and then let Purdy run it in. He could have had 5 very reasonably for the 50-burger. But they're going up against a little bit different of an opponent. If I'm not mistaken, they played Arizona this past weekend?
They did.
Yeah. So Arizona has exceeded expectations, which is easy to do when there are literally no expectations, right? For whatever Dallas is, like, even if Micah Parsons is hurt, it's not a Swiss cheese defense. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's the number one. It's not a great matchup.
Where do you put CMC then?
I mean, even in a not a great matchup, I'm very comfortable with him as high as 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's what I don't think there's the potential for. As much as there's ever not the potential for it with Christian McCaffrey. I don't see that like a 38-point game against that defense. Like, I'm never going to say it's not in the range of outcomes for Christian McCaffrey because he could also catch 12 balls and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's somewhere in that 2 to 5 range. Like, he's a high-end RB1 no matter what the matchup is. But in the worst possible matchup, I'm not calling him my overall number 1 this week.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things. One is, like, the Cowboys don't have a very good run defense. That's the only thing I would bring up. I would agree that it's the best defense that this team has now played this season because they haven't played a good defense yet in the 49ers. That said, like, this defense for the Cowboys, it's not easy to pass on it. It's much easier to run on it. I think a lot of that has to do with game script. I'm still scratching my head as to why the Pats ran the ball like 20 times in that game instead of like 35 times in that game. One, your quarterback is Mac Jones, enough said. 2,
I have a theory.
2 good running backs.
I have a theory.
I'd love to hear it.
Here's my theory, and I'm only half serious. We've talked about, I think Bill O'Brien might be the worst person in the whole world. I don't know if we've talked about this.
I don't know.
I deeply loathe Bill O'Brien.
Oh.
Like, on a multitude of levels, I just think he's an absolute of a human being and, like, should be resoundingly disparaged as the piece of shit that he is. Okay?
Wow. Yes.
He's also, like, arguably the worst GM I've ever seen in my life.
Fair.
Right. Okay. No one is giving him a head coaching job ever again. Yeah. Unless he gets Bill Belichick fired with his terrible fucking play calling. Wow. And Bill's just like, I'm so sick of football. I'm going to go coach lacrosse at Wesley until I die. I'm out. Peace. And Bill O'Brien's like, well, I mean, I guess I'll take the job if you want me to ruin your franchise.
Wow. Yeah. So, but you think Robert Kraft is going to take Bill Belichick's stoolie and be like, yeah, come on up here to the head coach position of the New England Patriots?
Like, I have half a feeling that at a certain point, Robert Kraft might just be like, this isn't fun anymore without Tom here. Can I just sell this? Will someone buy this shit from me? I'm done. I want a new toy. I'm done with this one.
All right, we are off the rails. We have established that Bill O'Brien is usurping Bill Belichick by running the offense into the ground. And we have established that Christian McCaffrey is still going to be at least the second best running back this week, even if he does play against that Cowboys. Like,
if you want a sneaky one who could finish RB1 this week, I don't know what kind of odds you're going to get because he blew up last week, but Carolina can't stop the run for shit, and David Montgomery apparently gets 32 carries a game now.
32 coming off injury.
So, like,
Dan Campbell was like, Dan Campbell was like, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy owners, you thought you were pissed at me before. Wait till I put you in a ripe ass matchup for him to be a killer and not use him at all.
I'm crazy, as you are well aware. We've known each other a long time. It has been like bothering me into my core. Like, what the fuck is going on with this Jahmyr Gibbs usage, right? And I have as much David Montgomery shares as I do Gibbs, so it's not like I'm mad about it. I just don't fucking get it, right?
Yeah.
So I did some digging, like, in the Twitter sphere and like message boards for like Lions fans and beat writers. The coaching staff does not trust Jahmyr Gibbs in all situations. So it was either in game 1 or game 2. There were a couple situations where he whiffed on a block completely. There was a play where he literally went the wrong way and just didn't even block someone because he went the wrong way to go block someone. Then there was a play where he ran like an angle route when it was supposed to be a wheel route, and Goff just fucking like threw it into nowhere because that's where he was supposed to be. And there was another one that was like an option route that, like, dude, my grandma would have been like, oh yeah, button hook. And he was like, no, just run for it.
Let me run straight. Oh, no.
Yeah. So, and I think that one
he didn't even go out. I was hoping on the option route he like would go out or something instead of button hook, but no, he just kept flying.
No, he's just like, no, I'm good. And so like Dan Campbell is like, we're not gonna turn the ball over. We're gonna fuck you right in the mouth with every play we call. And like, if he can't, it feels like he's going to eventually work his way into the Christian McCaffrey rookie year role.
Right.
Yeah. When they still had, I want to say it was Jonathan Stewart, maybe, was like the Thunder guy. Yeah. Jonathan Stewart, Panthers, is pretty comparable player to David Montgomery, Lions.
Yeah.
Right?
And I would argue Montgomery's still more in the prime of his career as well.
And Montgomery, all right, look, so I loved him. Like, I'm a Montgomery stan. Like, I always have been. I loved him coming out of college. I hated watching Matt Nagy refuse to throw to him in the flat. I hated watching Mitchell Trubisky just suck at quarterback and murder his fantasy value. But, like, we forget the dude finished 4th overall one year.
Mm-hmm.
He had a number 4 overall running back finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Montgomery's a good football player, and he's behind a good line. So, against shitty run defenses, especially before Jamison Williams is fully reincorporated, Amon-Ra is fine, but he seems to be nicked up all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have that same downfield element quite yet.
Yeah.
I think Montgomery's got a pretty high floor, and that touchdown upside, I mean...
They move the ball, man.
In a lot of weeks, he would have been RB1 last week.
They move the ball. There's like 8 offenses I'm just throwing that number out off the top of my head that I trust each week to move the ball. And if you have a running back on one of those teams, feels pretty good. By the way, one of those teams, kind of the Seattle Seahawks. At least Kenneth Walker is worth having. So, so we've got running backs down. Let's finish it up with wide receivers and see what you feel there.
Number 1 overall, Tyreek Hill, weather dependent.
Okay.
Right now, I'm seeing a bunch of humidity and 55% chance of rain. But it is Tuesday, and this is the Northeast. So for all I know, it's a monsoon by Sunday, and equally, it could also be dry as a bone. Right. So if the weather is like not rainy, right, or the field isn't going to be trash, because, I mean, that field is trash a lot of the time, all things being equal, decent weather, decent field conditions. I mean, the Giants really like giving up huge plays, apparently, and they don't like covering people. I guess I don't know.
Conversely, they like throwing the ball half a yard downfield every time to Paris Campbell. So
They really do.
They don't like to get big plays, but they sure
No.
love to give them up.
Well, what they really like to do is not have any healthy offensive linemen who can play football. I think that's their number one favorite thing.
No, I'm too angry to give them any leeway right now. It's fine. But Tyreek,
they're not good. They're not good. Tyreek Hill, they're like, it's interesting. Adoree Jackson can run. Like, he can run.
He's your punt returner, yeah.
Well, he can't run like Tyreek Hill runs. Like, no one runs like Tyreek Hill runs. Yeah. Not really. Yeah. And
honestly, Adoree Jackson has as good of a chance of beating Tyreek Hill in a foot race as you and me. Which is none.
Roughly correct. Yeah, which is no, he might trip. Yeah. You know what? If he trips, if it's more than 100 meters, he will probably get up and catch me, no problem.
Yeah, 100%.
100 meters if he trips, I think I can get it done. But that's the only chance I got.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, he's in for like a I'm angry. If you've already forgotten that I'm the best wide receiver in the league, here I am. Obviously, he thinks that. Justin Jefferson and a lot of other people don't think that, but I think it's safe to put him in the top 2, especially with the way Burrows can't get chase the ball in the end.
I mean, you know what I did with Ja'Marr Chase all offseason. I got him in every draft he was available in. And I do think they'll figure it out eventually. But my big concern for the Bengals is, let's say they're like 1-7, 2-6, and Burrow's still not right.
Of course, he's done. He's done at that point. The cat.
They're gonna throw him on the fucking shelf.
You have to.
And like Jake Browning was a pretty competent college quarterback. Well, I mean, dude, in a normal situation, T. Higgins banged up, Ja'Marr Chase 18 targets. Yeah, give me that. But like, I don't know. And so I can't stamp it.
So who's number 2 here then after
Jefferson?
Tyreek?
Not even a good matchup. You know what I mean? Like, the Chiefs are a good defense, but Jefferson. Like,
sorry, wait, hey, dude, my bad. You I think you refreshed real quick or something. So just take the Justin Jefferson thing over. Just start.
Jefferson, number 2, and Jefferson number 1 if the weather is going to suck in the Giants-Dolphins game.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are a good defense. You know what I mean? They've been good, but it's Justin Jefferson, so I don't really care who they're playing.
And it's actually good for Justin Jefferson that he has Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins will be losing by 2 to 3 scores at the end of nearest the end of the third quarter, and then he's going to rack up 180 yards and 2 TDs that don't matter, and that's going to be great for all of our fantasy owners.
It's certainly within the range of outcomes. Yeah. If you're looking for like a sneaky one, you would be able to get probably massive odds on this, especially after the week he just had. But Michael Pittman at that terrible Tennessee pass defense, if you are looking to like fix last weekend's loss of money with the smallish bet that you should get, I imagine pretty long odds on.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman could have himself a day because that team is not good at defending the pass typically.
Talking about the Titans against the Colts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
In what has become a really big divisional game already.
Yeah, it's weird,
right? Yeah, it's really weird.
Really weird.
Who can finish above 500 and win that division? We'll find out at some point.
Yeah, man. After week 1, I thought the Jags would run away with that shit, but boy, oh boy.
So, all right, man. Well, I'm gonna end it there. Let you get back to your day. I think we covered enough there. I'm gonna put some of this together for everyone. Like I said, I'll be making some NFL player prop bets. Definitely at least somewhat predicated on the stuff that we've talked about here, and go forward from there. So I'll let you know how that goes. You'll continue to see Levi, even though we were there was an attempt at thwarting us, but we're still going to be able to come through for you guys with some NFL player stuff each week. I appreciate the time as always, my dude.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Until we do talk to y'all next, happy betting.
Take it easy.